This is the Boston Celtics news feed on CLNS. Today is Wednesday, January 3rd, 2017. This is Mike Walsh reporting for CLNS, the leading online provider of audiovisual coverage for the Boston Celtics. Quick note before we get started today, guys. I wanted to urge you to go back and listen to this week's Celtics Beat podcast. Came out on Sunday. It is the final episode for original host Larry H. Russell. Celtics Beat was the first thing I personally ever heard out of CLNS, and I was just out jogging, looking around Stitcher for something Celtics related to listen to, and Larry got me hooked, and here we are nearly 3 years later, Celtics newsfeed rolling. Just wanted to say thank you to Larry, and best of luck. Now let's get back to what is a huge, huge day in Celtics Nation.
And all of us that spent every day with him, I can't say enough positive, glowing things about Isaiah. He's a special guy. It's great to see him back out on the court tonight, and certainly he's as tough as they can.
That was Celtics head coach Brad Stevens at practice yesterday, speaking, of course, about Isaiah Thomas. You can get that full video on our YouTube page at youtube.com/CLNSmedia. Thomas made his return to the floor last night in a win over the Portland Trailblazers. He played a NBA game for the first time since leaving after 16 minutes of 0 of 6 shooting in a Game 2 loss to Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals on May 19th. Thomas played 19 minutes for the Cavaliers last night, hitting 6 of 12 shots, including 3 three-pointers. He scored 16 points and finished with a plus 17 rating. Thomas told reporters after the game, quote, "It's been a long journey for me. I couldn't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. For that day to come in the first couple days of 2018, it's going to be a special year," end quote. It was indeed a big win for the Cavs, who had dropped 3 straight and now begin a 5-game road trip tonight in Boston. Thomas will not play on the second night of their back-to-back, as confirmed by the Boston Globe's Gary Washburn. Thus, the Celtics will honor Thomas's wishes and probably not show any sort of tribute highlight video on the Jumbotron tonight. Thomas asked politely that anything like that be held for a time when he is playing at full strength and could have arranged to have his family in the crowd. Or at least that's what his Twitter handle sent at CLNS Media's own Jimmy Murphy, who called out Thomas for rejecting the tribute. Instead, the Celtics tonight will likely honor fellow former player Jay Crowder in some way. Unfortunately, the situation still isn't exactly clean. Cleveland is back in Boston on February 11th, but as you may know, that game has been earmarked for a Paul Pierce jersey retirement ceremony. Toucher and Rich of 98.5 The Sports Hub asked Celtics play-by-play voice Mike Gorman this morning on their show whether he thought Danny Ainge would consider running a tribute that night in addition to Pierce's stuff. His response? No, that's Paul Pierce's night. He played 15 years here, not 2. Thomas did speak a bit about the prospect of playing a full game in front of that TD Garden crowd again, saying, quote, "I know it will be all love. I keep saying that I gave that city everything I had, and they showed me genuine love back. And I think that love is going to last forever. So there's no hard feelings. This ain't no revenge game. They know what they gave up. They knew what they got. It's all good. I'm focused on the Cleveland Cavaliers and trying to win a championship," end quote. Listen up, Hoop fans. Basketball season is in full swing. NFL fantasy football has just really wrapped up, so it's time to put that fantasy knowledge to the test on the hardwood. You can win huge cash prizes every single night playing one-day fantasy basketball at DraftKings.com. At DraftKings, there are a ton of ways to play. You can choose from these public contests with huge cash prizes or private contests where you can compete against your friends. They've even got some beginner-level stuff for you guys to play against people of a similar skill level. And, of course, the best part, you get to draft a brand new team each and every day, so no draft day remorse. Huge cash prizes and bragging rights await only at DraftKings. Use the code CLNS at DraftKings.com to play free with your deposit for a share of $10,000 in total prizes tonight. Don't wait, use code CLNS at DraftKings.com now to choose your lineup. That's code CLNS only at DraftKings.com, the game inside the game. Minimum of $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. If the Isaiah drama wasn't enough, there is of course the flip side to concern fans as well. Kyrie Irving will be playing against his former team for the second time, but the first in his new home, and the first time since he drove the Celtics to a 30-10 start and first place in the conference that has been ruled for over a decade by his former teammate LeBron James. Jackie MacMullan wrote a long feature for ESPN that was posted today, which details much of Irving's life and career, with the major inciting incident, of course, being the 2017 trade and Irving's reasoning behind requesting one. MacMullan details the Irving-James relationship and the Irving-Tyronn Lue relationship, going into a practice situation that seemed to illustrate a growing resentment on Kyrie's part. There is also, of course, the allegation from Irving that the Cavaliers didn't even want him anymore, and MacMullan clarifies that former GM David Griffin had explored a 3-team trade that would have sent Irving to Phoenix and brought back Eric Bledsoe and Paul George. Mostly, though, the story shows Irving as just a relentless competitor who, from a young age, has always wanted to challenge himself and prove himself against the greatest odds and the highest levels of difficulty. Irving is quoted as saying, in his usually sage way, "Challenges are what make us most human. Fighting off the fear of failure, showing people you are the best, that you've been preparing for this moment, those are the things that interest me." MacMullan also spoke with Irving's college and Team USA coach Mike Krzyzewski, who gave maybe the best reasoning behind this past summer's blockbuster. Quote, "People want to talk about all these facts as to why Kyrie did this, but it's not personal, it's not against anybody. It's just a young man at 25 saying, I know I can do more and I'm not afraid to see. Not many people would do it. I love the fact that Kyrie did." End quote. Jackie Mack closes her piece, which is great and I do recommend checking out, by somewhat warning Celtics fans from getting a bit too attached to a guy that is seemingly always looking for the next challenge. She writes, quote, "He's already beloved in Boston. Chance of MVP routinely waft through the TD Garden rafters. Spurned Cavs fans are tempted to coach buyer beware. If you are always searching for the next thing, they say, how can you ever find what it is you're looking for?" The Celtics host the Cleveland Cavaliers at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight on ESPN. The newsfeed has had you covered all day. Go back and check out Josue Pavon's pregame show from this morning with guest Ben Rohrbach. The CLNS Roundtable guys also put out a new episode with guest Jared Weiss. We'll be back here later tonight with the postgame recap on the newsfeed as well. You can check out new episodes of The Garden Report and complete locker room and press conference coverage on the YouTube page at youtube.com/CLNSmedia. Until then, head to DraftKings.com, put down a $5 deposit with code CLNS to enter your fantasy hoop team before tonight's games. Be sure to follow CLNS on Twitter at CLNS Media and myself at CLNS_Walsh. And subscribe to the Celtics newsfeed both on iTunes and Stitcher, as well as the CLNS Media Network's mobile podcast app. This has been Mike Walsh for the Boston Celtics newsfeed.